welcome back to part 2. I even started thinking maybe I could just replace the base with something better and make it work. Then I saw a review on Amazon saying that buying this cheap aluminum base basically saved this guy's investment in his Chinese clone after he missed the return window. So I went ahead and bought the Kingu replacement base for the Makita RT0701C, only 22 bucks.
When I was preparing this part, I asked a friend to stop by and bring his Makita router to compare it with the Chinese clone.
Let's take a closer look. You get a clear acrylic dust port with the mounting hardware, and here's the base itself. I read some reviews saying it was rough and needed sanding, but either I got lucky or those reviewers were just being really picky. To me, it looks pretty decent. On the router body, there's a slot for a guide pin for the base. Let's see if it lines up. Oh, there is no guide pin on the base at all, so you have to carefully line up the notches with the adjustment gear. It's not the most convenient thing, but not a deal breaker. When I inserted the router, it fit, and the gear does adjust to depth, but it moves a bit jerky. I had to turn the gear with my left hand while helping the router move with my right. It works, but it's definitely not as smooth as I had hoped. The batteries and chargers, though, they turned out to be pretty decent. They charged in about 3 hours and held up well during testing. I think they're very close to the real 4 amp hours capacity. Honestly, if you already have other Makita cordless tools, the batteries and charger alone might be worth buying the kit for. Anyway, that's just something I was thinking about. After the first part, I was actually leaning towards returning the clone, mostly because of how flimsy that plastic base felt. Anyway, let's see how things perform in real conditions. The weather was nice today, so I took the router out to the backyard, and yes, I apologize in advance for my clumsy movements. I did warn you, I am still a beginner. First, let's try smoothing the edge of a 2x2 board. Starting with the original plastic base, it feels pretty flimsy. I probably should have picked a wider board so the base had more support. And take a look. The plastic base is transparent, which is convenient for better visibility, but this transparency is lost after the first few minutes of operation, as sawdust gets packed between the base and the sole plate. Now I swap the aluminum base. Wow, what a difference. The tool feels much better, more stable in my hands. Here's the result with the aluminum base. The edge is smoothed out, not perfect, but definitely acceptable. By the way, you know I'm not a pro with trim routers. This is actually my first handheld one. I only have a Skill 1323 that stays permanently mounted in a router table, so maybe this is normal. I figured beginners like me might want to know this before buying. Before I bought the Herm slot, or should I say RYOJEK, I would have loved to find a video like this on YouTube, but there's nothing. Next, let's try cutting a groove down the center of a 2x4 board. Honestly, I don't even want to put the plastic base back on. If it wasn't for my own mistake with keeping it straight, the result would have been pretty good. So I'll give the router a passing grade for this test. I used both bits that came with the kit. They were fine for this test. While I was carrying everything back to the garage, the same friend showed up with his old Makita RT0701C. He looked at my clone and said, "You know what? I'm just going to give you this. It's old, but it's reliable and feels good in the hand." And he hasn't used it in years. So now all of a sudden I have 2 routers. Let me show you the difference. The clone with the upgraded base is okay. For 80 bucks plus the base, it's not bad for occasional use. But when you pick up the real Makita, man, you feel it immediately. The depth adjustment is smooth, it's precise, and it can be done with one hand. The whole tool just feels more solid and confident. While I was finishing this video, the WEN Plunge Base I ordered for the Makita also arrived. I tried it on and it fits perfectly. The plunge action feels smooth and solid. After using both routers, I've made my decision. If I didn't have the real Makita, I probably would have kept the clone and been reasonably happy with the way it worked, with the light work. But once you felt the original, it is really hard to go back. So I've decided to return the RYOJEK clone and the aluminum base to Amazon. What would you do in my situation? Would you keep the clone or return it? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.